Hello and welcome to Across the Formation with me, Ollie Hunter, Will Gavin, and Samuel 8-Team Harris. How are we, gentlemen?
8. We're up to 8 now.
He did reveal to me the other day he has tickets for West Ham Arsenal, meaning he has to watch two of his teams go head to head in a few weeks' time. So one for the Premier League, one for relegation. I don't know which way he's going to go at all.
It's going to, yeah, well, you got to hedge your bets, haven't you?
Oh, you need a championship team, don't you? Although Willie's going to have two championship teams. No, just one, Spurs. It's one or the other.
Very good. Very, very good. It would be great for Chris Gavin's legacy if next year Reading and Tottenham met in the Championship. It seems very unlikely, but we're still on the edge of the playoffs, the mighty ding, so it could happen.
The mighty ding. Sam, how many NBA teams have you got?
Just the Sixers.
Not the Pacers
Just
as well.
the six.
Just the 6. Yeah, just the 6. Do you know what? And ironically, it's funny
Warriors,
you said that.
Heat.
I do have a soft spot for the Pacers, but
Of
nowhere
course
near.
he does.
Yeah,
of course he does.
Honestly, you're a joke, mate.
I
You're
don't
a
help myself, do
disgrace.
I? I don't help myself.
How many baseball teams have you got?
0. Well, no, Phillies, but I can't say I only ever really get into the baseball when it's like the playoffs, and even then, it's quite hard to get into. My mental bandwidth for American sports kind of stops at baseball.
Okay, and how many NHL teams have you got?
Just the Flyers.
Just so you're really leaning into that whole.
So you're definitely a Philadelphia sports fan.
Yeah,
that's what we're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, you're definitely an Eagles fan who pretends to
the whole
support
thing, right? The whole gag that's been going on for so long is utter nonsense. There is no gag. There is no second team because he's just an Eagles fan. He has no interest in the Colts really whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's just a barefaced lie so we could one day, 10 years ago, meet Andrew Luck. And then ever since then, he's been rooting for the Eagles and he's got 2 Super Bowls and he's delighted with himself.
Oh,
You finally sussed me out.
Oh, Jonathan Taylor, I love you.
My good buddy Jonathan Taylor, of course.
Yes.
That didn't take long. Gents, how's the last week been? Sam Harris, you said it's been a good day today, so you're having a beer.
Yeah, no, it's been a good day at the end of a good couple of weeks. Me and Will are working on a project at the moment, which I'm very excited about. I won't say too much about it
Ollie's
yet.
not involved in, which is nice.
Yeah.
What do you
Really
mean you're
sorry about
working?
that, Ollie.
What do you mean you're working on it? What?
Sorry we had to break it to you on the pod, but yeah.
What?
Guarantees no meltdown.
What? Come on, guys, come on.
You're leaving us soon anyway, mate. You're in beard for
You don't know that. Might not.
it. No. We'll see.
For the
But
best.
yeah, keep your eyes peeled, listeners. We've got some exciting news coming up. But yeah, no, it's been a good day, been a good week. How about you, Will?
Oh, no complaints from me at all. Just, enjoying this slight lull, starting to watch some draft prospects, follow some more draft podcasts, finally catching up with the beast. I'm in that mode of we are now a month away from the NFL draft. And we talked about doing some draft stuff on this show. We will talk about the Browns draft proposal, in fact. But
Can't wait.
yeah, I think we need to. I love rules in the NFL, right? I am a rules nerd. I love the owners' meetings and all the stuff that's kicked about. I think it's devastating that the tush push has not been suggested to be banned again because it just gives us great content for the space of 2 weeks, even if it's never going to happen.
Willie, let me ask you a very quick question.
You hate it so much. I want to start the show with it. What do you reckon? The Cleveland Browns, they're suggesting we're going to be able to trade picks up to 5 years into the future. Surely that's going to make football more exciting in the off-season.
We'll do that after we've spoken about Jaxon Smith-Njigba's bumper new contract. Levante David's retiring. We'll go through some other news. We'll talk about that nonsense Fanatics Flag Football stuff and our thoughts on that. Plus, we're going to do our wide receiver rankings after that JSN contract. But firstly, I want to know, Will, what would you rather go to? The first round of the draft or the owners' meetings?
Do it.
What, to cover as media?
No,
or just to be there?
Just to be a fly on the wall of the green room of the draft of that first round in and around there, or you get to be in the owners' meetings.
Do I get to also be in the rules, the meetings ahead of time where they discuss them all? The rules committee.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, then that 100%.
Yeah, of course you
I
would.
love to know how the sausage is made. That. I mean, I'm
And
going to
we
watch.
know you're a sausage man as well.
You know, just 5 big fat sausages on the end of a burger. That's what my hands look like. Listen,
Sausage
I
burger.
am a big time fan of the draft, and I'm desperate to go one year, and I will do. You know, Pittsburgh isn't going to prove to be the one. I seriously doubt it'll even be next year, but at some point in the next few years, I'm going to go out there and do the first round. And it looks great fun to cover from a media perspective as well, because we get time with the prospects when they're straight off stage. And yeah, it's great. I'm excited about it. But yeah, I mean, I get so much more out of that. It'd be so like revealing.
Is there a city yet that you're still yet to go to that you would, if it was to be announced that it was there, you'd be like, right, this is the one, I'm packing up, we're going, it's happening?
Ooh.
That's a great question, Sam.
That's a great
Oh,
question.
yeah, that's a great question.
I haven't done, I think Denver. I haven't done Colorado. I've never done Kansas City. Like those kind of real middle of the country, not another team really near it. Great food cities. Like those are kind of the ones that shout out to me. And, you know, I'm sure everyone's going, what about Chicago and New York and, you know, all the other actually there. New Orleans, but yeah, been to those places, done that.
Yeah.
I want to go somewhere new. And so, yeah, Denver screams out to me for some reason.
And I've heard a rumor on the grapevine about this year's draft. Is it
about this year's that's about to happen, or about the 2027 draft?
No, the 26 draft, and it's about you.
Right.
Is it true that you're doing San Francisco's 6th pick? Is that true? You're announcing.
I'm not doing.
I've
any
heard
picks.
this.
We have to make it happen if it isn't.
I'm not doing any.
That
picks
NFL guy who called
this
the
time.
touchdown.
Right. Well, we're going to get on the
CMC
case.
capped out.
I've done a Jets pick before. I hosted a Jets pick, and
yes,
one
I
of
remember you setting up for that.
One of the girls who won the Flag Football League here in the UK actually announced it, but I was the person who hosted it. So I have been involved in a first-round pick. Not first-round pick, a draft pick. Unfortunately, the guy was a kind of a big potential tackle prospect who'd slipped due to knee injuries and has since not managed to have a career in the NFL. So I'd like to make another pick and find someone who... You don't want to get picked by the big ginge. It's going to ruin it for you.
If the 49ers hear that story, they're definitely not letting you pick someone.
Yeah, also, no picks past the 4th round, pal. So there's no picks low enough for a fella like me. Let's put it that way.
All right, so with the 4th pick in the 2026 NFL draft, can you do it as though you would do it for us? The San Francisco 49ers pick Sam Harris.
Who they take in the 4th round?
Well, just pick any name. Pick a name, any name. But I want your delivery as you would do it. Would you do something fun, something interesting?
Oh, I mean, do the noise first.
I think
dun, 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 dun.
You've got to do it now.
It's not great.
What, the player or my impression?
Put it in post.
Yeah, if somebody did that, I would turn around and be like, "Oh,
oh, sorry, guys.
What's just happened? What has just happened?"
We've got a charity guide to do this noise for you. I'm really sorry.
Oh God!
Make a wish. Here we go.
God,
I'd be so proud of myself as well.
Dear. So go on. How would you do it?
I think I would just go straight. I know that's really boring, but I think I would just maybe big hype version, give it a bit of the wrestling, woo, really give it some. But I don't think I'd try and do a gag or anything. I don't think I'd
do it
try and slag off the local
play.
city or something. Maybe if it was back in Green Bay last year, I'd come out and go, a team who've had numerous playoff successes here in the last 7 to 8 years or something like that. But, but for the most part, I would just do with pick number 133 of the 2026 NFL draft, the San Francisco 49ers take Alabama Edge, LT Overton, Norway.
Yeah, no, that was good. That was good. Well done.
Very good.
Get him involved, San Francisco 49ers. I'm surprised you haven't put yourself forward, quite frankly.
Who says I haven't?
That's amazing. Right, there's been some massive news in the NFL this week, as always. A player on a team that had, they managed to win their Super Bowl in San Francisco 49ers' home stadium. Will Gavin called it. The Seattle Seahawks. They've locked down their number 1 wide receiver, Jaxon Smith-Njigba to a 4-year extension, $168 million 4-year extension. Crazy money. Sam, what did you make of this when you first saw it?
I mean, if you had taken me back to the start of this season and said this is how he would have ended it with the Super Bowl and this contract, I wouldn't have believed you. But what a season this guy's had. Metcalf going, there was some people, me included, worrying, can he deal with this workload all by himself? How they're going to spread it around? Will he be good enough in double coverage? He has been insane this season. He has just taken that leap as if it was nothing, really. And I personally think he is well deserving of this money. I don't think he's going to be the highest paid wide receiver for much longer. There's a couple more that are coming off after him. But I'm happy for him. I'm always happy when a player gets to lead their respective position in the market, and I think he earned it this year. Like, he's the main one of the main reasons. Obviously, not so much in the Super Bowl itself. That was a lot down to Kenneth, but I think the reason why they were there was a lot down to him. And yeah, fair play to Jaxon. And I think he's fully deserving of it.
Will Gavin.
It's funny, right? If you are in the top 10 of your position in the NFL, you're going to be paid the number one contract. It's just how the inflation, it's how the salary cap goes. It's why good teams sign players nice and early. And this is early. They had a possible 5th-year option on Jaxon Smith-Njigba. So they're paying him 2 years ahead of where they would need to pay him. There's some funny money here. I think he has been sold as being now the highest average per year contract for a wide receiver. Actually, Ollie stated it right. It's a 4-year extension at $168 million a year, meaning the extra 4 years of $42.15 million a year. But actually, the 6 years of the contract he's now signed through to 2031, the overall value is near a kind of 32 average per year, which still puts him top 6, top 7. It puts him in the same range that DK Metcalf's earning and Garrett Wilson and Terry McLaurin. It's no chump change by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it still keeps him below those very top tier guys. And, you know, as much as I think the smartest thing that the Seahawks have done here is getting out in front of it, first and foremost, before that market jumps up even higher. They make the agent happy by putting that massive average value on there. But the likelihood is Puka Nacua is going to be done this summer as well. And I think Puka Nacua takes another big step in front of this. I think he takes a legitimate $40+ million a year contract, actually tops out the market. And honestly, if you want to talk about percentage of the cap, or if you want to look at his kind of overall figure, now that we are seeing wide receivers being paid like quarterbacks were, only 2 or 3 years ago, I'm not going to be that stunned to see if we see a receiver at 50 million average, if not this offseason, within the next 2 years. And Puka Nacua, I think, will push that. I think they were smart getting out in front of that. It's still only a 1 season that he's been proven as being the number one, and he was targeted a huge, huge amount, but it was sensational. And it does beg that question now. Where does he rank in the NFL? He's got the highest money in theory. Do you consider him, after that season, a guy who belongs in the very top tier of receivers with Jamar Chase, with Justin Jefferson, with whomever else you might have in there? And that led us to having that question today.
Little spoiler alert there from Will. A couple of players maybe in his top tier.
If Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson aren't in any of your top tiers, I immediately reject the entire concept of this podcast and will leave immediately. That would be absolute madness.
Stay tuned, guys, because I think Will's going to get pissed off later.
Absolute insanity if that's not your 1-2. I'm sorry, but
I
expect there'll be some. I'm already surprised. I think you'll be surprised by a couple of mine who I think have dropped tiers in recent seasons, or maybe survived when other people would drop them. But come on. Those are the two towers. Those are, I think, Jaxon Smith-Njigba definitely, the way that they described it, I think it was on Greg's podcast, was perfect. That we need to get out of this mindset that a number one receiver is an X receiver. Like, as much as I've just said, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson need to be held up above everyone else. The fact is that CeeDee Lamb is a true one receiver. Jaxon Smith-Njigba is a true one receiver. Puka Nacua is a true one. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a true one. And whilst those guys can all line up as an X receiver, they can all line up in isolation. They do a lot of work out of the slot. They do a lot of work moving across the formation. I love it when they say the name of a film in a film. So not everyone is AJ Brown, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, big guy on the outside, but I still think that those two dominate. Well, we'll talk about it. We've got it coming up.
I think we do this now. We're halfway. We're halfway.
I've already
in there.
done it.
Well, I mean, let's just do it. Like tier one. So it's not like the number one receiver. It's your top tier of receivers, and that top tier of tier one. Who's in it, and how many are there?
I tell you what I did. I did my top 20 initially, and then I tiered them out, and then I'm going to do like up to the tier that includes the top 10, and I'll do that whole tier. So mine goes to 12, for example, in my top 3 tiers. And I think someone else said theirs goes to 15. So like it's loose, but who are your top tier guys? Who are your absolute number one tier? Like if we were redrafting the NFL today, who are the first 4 guys off the board?
Oh man,
that's 5 or 3, however you have it.
That's crazy because if you're redrafting the NFL today, I guess you're looking at and what teams do is they don't look at that last season, do they? They look at when they're picking players out of college, they're looking at a body of work. Well, my top 4 in tier 1, I've only got 4 in tier 1 are, and my number like 1 to 4, my rankings are Nakua, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Whew.
Wow.
Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson.
There we go. At least you.
Now, Justin Jefferson only had 2 touchdowns last year. But
he's on a terrible football team being thrown to by a terrible quarterback.
By a terrible quarterback, and that's what you have to factor in. He's just amazing. He's an amazing player to watch. He's a really cool dude. He's a really nice dude. He's had 1,000 yards each of his last 6 seasons in the NFL. I think he has to be considered, despite having a drop off. But you have to look at the other factors. So those 4.
So you also don't have JSN in your top tier, as do neither I.
But that's because he's coming off 1 season of work. I think if he backs it up this season, then yes, he gets into tier 1. Yeah, he gets onto the wide receiver roundabout.
Jaxon Smith-Njigba. Jaxon Smith-Njigba, it was the best receiver in football last year, and the numbers bared that out, and he's the first receiver ever to lead a number 1 seed and lead the league in receiving yards because, top seeds tend to run the ball, etc. So he had an astonishing year, and you can't take that away from him. But for me, he still has at least to prove it for another year and show that this is a consistency. He's phenomenal. He's a 3-tier threat. He does everything right. He's a crisp route runner. He's not as big as some of these other guys on the list, but still so good at the catch point. Like, I love him, but I just think, show me again before I put you in with Puka Nacua, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and this is the antithesis of what I've just said. I don't care you had a down year last year. You're still a top-tier receiver. AJ Brown is still in my top tier.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry. He's phenomenal, but we ignore it because he's been a pain in the ass off the field and because the Eagles don't know how to use him. If he goes to a top 15 quarterback next year, he might lead the league in everything. Like, he could triple crown it. He is that good, and so I still have him in that top tier.
Blimey. Well,
that's wild to me. Wild.
Yeah. I can see it though, because he is insane, but he's just done too much this season that's made me think, if we are redrafting now, do I want him on my team?
You guys, I'm not saying you guys, I'm about to say you guys, I'm about to dig you two out. I think AJ Brown is being slept on because he wasn't a good fantasy receiver last year and because he made a lot of noise about wanting to get traded and everything else. If we get to 8 games into next season, he's already got 750 yards and 6 touchdowns. No one's going to care. Like, literally, no one is going to give a toss.
You're right. Right. So, on to my tier 1. And the reason why I haven't got one of those names in it is because I always think a top tier should never have more than 3 in it. Your top tier is your top 3.
Just such a completely unnecessary wrinkle to throw in there.
I just think the top tier should just be your top 3. So, similar to you guys, I've got Puka number 1.
Based on what? Just love the Olympics? Like, is there any actual justification?
It's just everything's kind of known as like, when it's the best of the best, you do,
no medals for 4th, is it?
Gold, silver and bronze. Yeah, 4th just kind of feels like on the outside.
Surely your top tier should just be 1 then. There's only 1 Lombardi, just 1.
1 top.
Well, look, I can do that as well.
Or would it be 3 wide receivers that you normally get in a package or whatever? Is that it?
But saying that, actually, the Mount Rushmore's got 4 in it, so who knows? Anyway, I've gone.
We didn't
4.
ask you about Rushmore, though, did we, pal?
I'm now questioning myself. Anyway,
And life
number 1,
choices, yeah.
I've gone for Puka.
Mhm.
Number 2, I've gone for Justin Jefferson. And number 3, I've gone over Chase. I have gone for Njigba, just purely based on the season he had last year.
This is absolute trash. Jamar Chase was maybe the best receiver in football last year based on performances. Like Jaxon Smith-Njigba obviously had the numbers and was phenomenal. I would say that I would have more respect for you if you dropped Justin Jefferson out of that 3 than if you dropped Jamar Chase out. That's mental.
I think you put Justin Jefferson on that team, he is better than Chase.
I don't think that's true. I actually am at a point where I don't think that's true anymore. I have them as a true 1A, 1B in my list. And I love Puka Nacua, but I think they are 1 and 1.
Wow.
Well, shall I continue into my tier 2?
Please.
Go on.
Yeah, please.
So my tier 2
spin your farce.
welcomes back 4 players into it.
Your farce.
Number 4, Jamar Chase. So he's right there. He's on the outside looking in. This one, and I've spoken about this guy to you two for years. I rate him so highly.
Oh my God, where's this going?
One
If
of
you've
my
put Alec Pierce
favorite.
here, honestly,
He
you
is
can
so
get out.
underrated.
It's going to be Michael
He doesn't-
Pittman.
It's not. It's T. Higgins. I have T. Higgins as number 5.
You made your list 2 years ago, clearly.
Drink that in.
T. Higgins is great. T. Higgins is in my tier 4.
Well,
Yeah.
These are my tiers. Number 6, I have CD Lamb. Absolute studs. You can make an argument for him being a top 5 receiver ahead of T. Higgins, which I'm sure you two will do for me, so I don't need to do it myself. And coming in number 7, final one on my tier 2 is Amon St. Brown. I think that is, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think any of those you could kind of reorder, except for I can't really make that argument for Chase because you've got him in your top tier. But I think they are just a slightly off of the top tier. I think they're a bit clear of my tier 3, but I'm very happy with that. Discuss.
All right. I mean, just to give you mine, I've done JSN in a similar role, just outside the top tier, but we'll get in there if he has another similar season. CD Lamb and Amon-Ra St. Brown as a 3-person tier 2. And I was very, very close to putting the guy who's at the top of my tier 3 in there, but between health concerns and performance from the last 2 years, I think that guy, and I'll say it when we get to tier 3, but I think that guy has the best argument for anyone on this list who's not in the top 5 to be in the top 5 if the situation around him is good this year and if he can stay healthy, because he's so special, but you can't ignore the form. So yeah,
Okay.
my 3 is JSN, CD Lamb, Amon-Ra.
I'm going to take exception to both of you for not elevating Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's been so good the last 3 seasons.
Was he in your top tier?
He's in my top tier. He's so good. He's so good. 10 touchdowns in 23, 12 in 24, 11 in 25. On a team which had a massive downturn in 2025. He's still
that's
produced. I think he's a game wrecker. He can play pretty much anywhere across the formation.
Everyone's got to do one today.
And he reminds me of those other guys. I think he's that good and that special, mainly because he seems to have brilliant games against the Green Bay Packers whenever he plays.
I love Amon-Ra, don't get me wrong, but I look at the 5 to 6 names above him because I kind of had him level with CD Lamb, and I think based on form, probably above CD Lamb. If I was drafting, would I take Lamb before him? Maybe. Depends who my quarterback is. But just sits behind those 5 or 6 for me. I think I've respected him by putting him into this tier when I look at 3 or 4 names in my next tier down and think they are close to where I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is, but just not quite there.
So in my second tier 2, I've only got 2 players. Jaxon Smith-Njigba and Devontae Adams.
Ooh.
Devontae Adams.
Spicy.
Future Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Touchdown leader this season, or last season, excuse me. He's one of the best route runners. He's got amazing hands. durability has been was an issue, a bit of an issue last year, but the class hasn't gone. And I think Davante Adams is still a tier 2 receiver. And if he was on any other team that doesn't have any of those players that are above him, Lions, Rams, he's on the Rams anyway, but the Bengals, Vikings, and the Seahawks, Davante Adams is the number 1 receiver in my book on any of the other teams in the NFL. I think I still think he's sensational. So he's my tier 2.
I think he was so good last year in the sense that, I mean, what a matchup for Stafford to get him as a number 2 for Nakua. I couldn't see him leading the team at his age now as your wide receiver 1. He
Ageist?
is maybe I am, but you made a good argument. And I love him. I love him so much. I know you do as well as a former Packer, but I couldn't see him leading without someone like Nakua. I couldn't see him leading the Rams to where they were last year. He couldn't be the number 1 guy, but he's an absolute legend. As you said, future Hall of Famer.
Funny thing was though, when Nakua was out last season, he was that number 1 guy. All right, they did do a lot of 12 and 13 personnel and use those tight ends and Nakua, Adams as that number 1 guy. But go ahead.
I think he's categorically not a number 1 anymore. And I mean that with respect to how brilliant I think he is. And spoiler alert, he is in my tier 3. But I know we're not projecting with this list necessarily, but there really is a drop-off after 32, 33 years old as a receiver. Only 6 wide receivers in NFL history have ever had a 100-catch season at age 33 or over, which is, I think, one of the lines of what a proper wide receiver 1 would be. What I'm excited for is that I still think if Nakua is healthy, he can be brilliantly utilized as a red zone threat. They can continue to rotate the guys out with tight ends, and he could end up having another 10 touchdown plus season. I'd still love him, but I just think we are at that point in his career where he has taken a slight age-based step back to the pack, and hence me having him in my next tier.
No, and again, that's fair. And all of this is totally subjective, isn't it? It's like who you like and who you love.
They're all better than us.
Exactly. Tier 3.
So how many does everyone have in tier 3?
3 again.
Okay.
I've gone 3, 4, 3.
So I've got 5. Ollie, you've got about 8, haven't you?
Well, no, look, for the sake of having a tier 4, I'm going to have...
I want to hear who's in people's tier 3s, and I want to hear who's in their tier 4s who I think could jump up. I've got one name that I really ummed about, but again, in a similar kind of fashion to JSN, I need to see at least another half season of it first.
I've got 5 in tier 3. That's what I've gone with.
Sam's got the smallest tier 3, so let's start with him and see if he rounds out his top 10 with players that we've at least all got in ours.
So again, these I could have in any order, to be honest. 8, 9, and 10. I'll name them off in the order I've got them. I've got Nico Collins 8. I've got George Pickens 9, and I've gone for Malik Neighbors number 10, who I think could quite possibly in a couple of years be in that top tier. Again, he's on the Giants.
No Davante Adams.
No Davante Adams. No. I've gone for some younger guys in my 3rd tier, but I think they're all players. They're all wide receivers that on their day are completely unplayable. But for whatever reasons, I mean, Malik Neighbors, obviously his injury last year, and in fact he's on the Giants. George Pickens had an incredible year last year. Whether or not he's going to be able to reproduce that next year is yet to be seen. CeeDee Lamb's obviously going to want to come back more into the picture, and Nico Collins. It's all dependent on whether Stroud's going to come back and completely ess the bed like he did in his last game in the playoffs. But I think those are 3 guys that I could quite easily see finish in the top 5 of wide receivers next year. But I think they've got question marks over them. But in terms of talent, they're all incredible.
All right. I've got 4 guys in my 3rd tier who you haven't. Yeah.
I've got,
wild.
I've got 3. But I think we'll all have the same ones.
Go on. What's your tier 4, Ollie?
Well, tier 4,
sorry,
tier 3, I've expanded it to 6 players because I've completely forgot about Malik Neighbors. Because he was injured so earlier on in the season. He had such a great rookie season.
That's part of why he's slipped into my tier 4.
But he's at the bottom of my tier 6. But Drake London,
6.
Tier 3, 6 players.
I hope you're keeping up, listeners.
Drake,
I'll ding if they're in mine.
Drake London,
Ding.
Zay Flowers.
No, not in my 20.
Wow.
Wow, 7th on yards last year. It's 3rd best reception percentage with players over 10.
Sometimes you have to be the only option, not the prettiest option.
There we go.
At the ball.
Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. George Pickens, CD Lamb, Mike Evans. Tier 3.
Wow. Okay. There's a couple of guys who I am astonished are not on either of your lists, particularly Sam's, I must say. But
all right, so who's in your tier 3?
So Nico Collins was the guy I was talking about when I said I think he's a top 5 receiver in the NFL when healthy and when in a good situation. I then had in my tier 4 Drake London, Devontae Adams. That kind of rounds out my top 10. And then the guys who just snuck into my 3rd tier, but outside of the top 10, neither of whom are on either of your lists. The Slim Reaper, Devontae Smith. Just love him. One of the best route runners in the NFL. What a deep threat he is. Like, he just offers so much to that offense. I just adore him. And I still think the fact that he can still shine on such a terrible, terrible football team, the respect I have for Garrett Wilson will not die yet. And I still have him in my 3rd tier.
If I'd done my outside looking in, it would have been Devontae Adams and it would have been Drake London. I mean, if I'd gone and expanding my tier 3 slightly, they would have been there. They're by far the best of my tier 4s. But yeah, I can understand why you'd be surprised that I've left them out. But hey, this is my top 10.
Yeah, of course. And we'll tweet out a little graphic of all this so everyone can mock us all. I'll tell you who I had on the outside looking in then, because we've talked about a couple of them. Pickens, Neighbors, Higgins, all of whom I think have slipped out of, one of whom I think has slipped out of that top tier contention. And the quarterback play's been rubbish, and he could easily be a top 10 guy again next year, Higgins. Pickens and Neighbors are both kind of, Neighbors prove it to me off the injury. Pickens prove it wasn't just a one-season wonder because you finally could be asked. I think there'll be a lot of Scary Terry fans who'll be disappointed that he hasn't graced any of our lists. He is a proper... Like, to them, he's a 1, but I think he's a situational 1 rather than an actual talent 1. And there were a few other guys just I thought were worth mentioning. Tet McMillan, every opportunity to be a top 10 guy after this year. Really excited to see what Jalen Waddle does in Denver. Like, I rate him much more highly than Cortland Sutton. If you're watching the video, a crazy dog has just jumped into view. Lad McConkey, I feel, has massively been disrespected on everyone's list. And it's funny to think that DK Metcalf scrapes a top 20 now when a year ago people were talking about, a true X receiver getting traded, etc. Funny stuff.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Any other honorable mentions you boys want to?
I think Chris Olave needs to get a mention as well.
Yeah, I love Chris Olave so much. I think he was the best receiver in football for like 3 years at one point, but I struggled. I wanted to cut that list off at 20. He was on there originally, and I felt like there's probably a couple of guys there I do like him more than, but I started to think about the redrafting thing, and he's into his 30s, and like that kind of that tickled at me a little.
I agree with you. I like the Olave thing. I've done a 20 now. Why not? T. Higgins, Olave, Pittman, Collins, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Garrett Wilson, Scary Terry. Like, I think
Pittman's crazy. That's crazy to me.
I like Pittman. I've always liked Pittman. He's my boy.
He's a good receiver, don't get me wrong, but he's like a good 2. And anyone on this list could be a 1 in the right situation.
Yeah.
So no Mike Evans for you, Will Gavin?
No, and look, don't get me wrong, Mike Evans has had a phenomenal career and I hope has a real step back to where he needs to be next year. The last 1,000-yard season, where they kind of made it up to him in the last game, felt like it was kind of point scoring rather than actually complete quality, kind of forcing the ball in late in those late games after he had the mid-season break. And then, I love him. He's absolutely a nailed-on Hall of Famer. If I was drafting the NFL today, that snuck back into my mind again, even though it wasn't the parameter. He's not gracing anywhere near the top 20, unfortunately.
I agree.
But I think he's landed in the perfect situation, and I think he's going to be brilliant there. So maybe we'll come away from this year. Fantasy, I'd say I would pick him as a top 20 guy, or at least think about it.
No, that's fair. Sam, anyone else that you kind of think, like I kind of thought Roma Dunze, but he had a big drop off last year compared to what he did beforehand. Is there an opportunity for next season for him to try and push to get into the coveted Will Gavin top 20?
I think someone that you could have a look at just because the situation he's in now and where they're at as a team, and I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes a top 10 receiver next year, is DJ Moore at the Bills. I think he has the potential and has the talent that he could go all the way with them to the Super Bowl. And if he does, it means he's had a good season. I think he is someone that I would put up higher, that is definitely on the outside looking in. But again, with a lot of these ones outside the top few tiers, there's the question marks about the situation, injuries, quarterbacks. I think he is probably going to be my tip. I don't even know where he would be ranked right now, but I consider him being one that would probably take the biggest leap in where he finishes in the rankings compared to where he is now.
Will Gavin, I want to chuck a couple of names at you. Both play on the same team. Jacoby Myers and your man, Brian Thomas Jr.
I think Brian Thomas Jr. would have been in these lists for me last year, and I think can be in these lists for me again this year. He's clearly talented enough. And actually, I feel like he's another one I hated. Like, there are guys that I think I've now that I'm thinking about it more and more, now this is less of a snap decision. Would I have him on that? I'd probably have him above Terry McLaurin. I'd probably have him above DK Metcalf. I think I was wrong to leave BTJ off, if I'm honest.
Okay. Despite him having much more of a down season, the not quite getting into Liam Cohen's offense, and
I've never bought the trade nonsense. They've nothing the team has said has suggested that they want to get rid of him. And once they brought Myers in, and Myers could become that in-breaking routes guy that they love so much in that Liam Cohen offense and that Rams offense, and the moment that they were able to then unlock what BTJ can be on the outside, you saw his confidence and quality grow hugely in that last 6 or 7 games of the season. Liam Cohen spoke glowingly about him to us earlier this year. I think they tried to fit a square peg into a round hole for 10 games last season, and it didn't work. And now we can get back to seeing what he did in his rookie season, hopefully.
Let me ask both of you a question about, and where would you put if they were wide receivers only? Where would you put these two players? Which tier
can I just guess who you're going to name? Are they going to be pass catching tight ends?
They would be indeed.
I nearly put Brock Bowers in my third tier. I really thought about it because he's basically just a massive wide receiver. He's like Travis Kelce. The tight endness of his career is basically a lie. He's not an inline blocker. He's barely a downfield blocker, but he is a sensational big bodied wide receiver.
I nearly did the same with Trey McBride, had their team.
Yeah, absolutely. If we were doing pass catchers, both those guys get into the higher echelons.
That would be the other name that I was going to chuck at you both, McBride and Bowers, both of whom have got sensational hands, big targets, big. They're like, more durable and really good Jimmy Graham's, if Jimmy Graham could run when he was a New Orleans Saint, that kind of thing. The final name, if he was a wide receiver only, and he has insane yards after the catch, is my man CMC. Over 700 and something yards after the catch last season.
He basically was the 49ers passing offense last year, which he's not going to have to do this year, thankfully. God, if we were just looking at his receiving numbers, I still would struggle because it's still gimmicky. I wouldn't have him in the top 3 tiers as much as I'd want to.
And I think I always have the same thing with CMC for the last couple of years. And he proved me wrong last year. He was probably the only player that wasn't injured for the 49ers. You kind of think that, right, is this going to be the year he goes out again? But yeah, I think there's too many ifs and buts with that for a running back to get in. The tight ends, you can make more of an argument, but yeah, I wouldn't put him up there.
Do you want to see a bad omen for 49ers fans?
Always.
Something that really doesn't bode well for this year. The CMC bobblehead.
No.
Is crocked.
No.
How did that happen?
Snapped his ankle. Clean off. That right ankle, it's gone.
How did you do that? You can't have mine.
Poorly wrapped transportation back from America. It's a pretty clean break, so I think I'll be able to get it glued back together, but I just haven't taken the time to clamp it properly.
That's got to go in a shoe, man.
Do you live close to a power substation?
Not that I'm aware of. But...
That's really good.
Is it really good?
Yeah, that was really good. Oh, it still hurts, does it, Willie? Still hurts all the injuries and what could have been.
It's fine. It's not like we've gone out and signed a bunch of guys. Like, people get to free agency because of injury. That's a big part of it, right? But it's not like we've gone out and signed a bunch of guys who haven't been able to be healthy the last couple of years.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Look, so that all came off the back of JSN's extension. If you agree with our lists, if you don't agree with our lists, let us know at any of our socials. Acrossformation@gmail.com is our email address. We're on Instagram as well, as is Will Gavin, Sam Harris, and myself. So let us know. We'll do a graphic. Should do a graphic. Let's do a graphic. Let's put a graphic up.
We should. We need to do a mailbag episode. There have been a couple of emails in. The guy who posted angrily that we were being harsh on the Jets and nice to the Dolphins feels like it needs its own self-contained section. Good guy, by the way. He's a genuinely good guy. But
Hey, we can't make everyone happy.
I still feel very strongly about that, and it's one we will get into as we approach the draft and talk more about team building.
Absolutely. Let's talk about that. So the Seahawks were busy over the last week because they exercised Devin Witherspoon's fifth-year option, is it? Or either way, they're paying him a bit more money. Is he the best cornerback in the league?
No.
And is he worth it?
No, but he is a guy who deserves to be talked about in the top. Like, if we're going to tier cornerbacks, should we start that from scratch? Longest pod ever. I wouldn't have him in the Pat Satan, Derek Stingley Jr. I thought Christian Gonzalez down the stretch deserved to be in that conversation, but he is very, very, very good. Like, he is a tier 1, tier 2 guy. Yeah.
So it all makes sense now why they didn't bring back Kenneth Walker, because they had other money to pay elsewhere.
They still have enough money that they could have paid Kenneth Walker. Like, I hate to bang on about it because we were just talking about him and like, okay, you need to find somebody who loves you in the same way that the Eagles and the 49ers love void years on contracts. But you can make this nonsense work, and you can see it. We've talked so much about that Mike Evans deal, but it's just got more silly this week. So not only was it not 3 for $60 like was claimed, but really a 1-year, $14 million guaranteed. Because of how they've rotated all of that money to come in, his actual cap hit this season is $4.05 million. You can find a way to make it work. If you're a team like the Seahawks who just won a Super Bowl, have all that magic, and have a chance to run it back again, I'd have kept at least 2 of those 3 or 4 guys that they let go because none of them were that expensive, and they could have rolled it back. And particularly, what are they going to do at running back now? Like, are they going to draft a guy? It's a terrible running back draft. Are they going to trade for somebody into the season and overpay for someone? Or are they going to start Emmanuel Wilson week 1 because Zach Charbonnet's not ready yet, and Zach Charbonnet's not a running back 1 anyway? Like, it just, I think they've burnt themselves. Anyway, I like that Jake Bobo's staying, one of the best blocking wide receivers in the NFL, though.
Yeah, it was the Falcons were after him, and then the Seahawks decided to exercise their right to retain him, $5 and something million. That's a nice little retainer for the Seahawks. Keep most of those guys in the wide receiving room, together after a Super Bowl is a good idea. It has to be. John Schneider said on the running back hole, that's a position that you can find guys. The Seahawks GM. Well, they're going to have to find some guys.
Exactly. You've got no choice now.
Yeah, going to have to find some guys. Levante David has announced his retirement. 14 years he was in the NFL. Won the Super Bowl 55, the COVID Bowl, that no one's calling it. 36 years old. Is he... I mean, he played at such a high level on a crap football team at the beginning, turned into a good football team. He stayed there. It's almost like one of those players that's gone up the divisions in football.
Yeah.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
I I think so, yeah. I mean, he's been one of the most consistent, productive, and like versatile linebackers off the ball. I think, as you just said as well, the years with some of these players to stay at that level when your team is that crap, I think has to be considered towards the end of your career,
I think
whether
the
or not
Bucks
you're
were
going to
that
get into
bad,
Hall of
were
Fame.
they?
Yeah, they
No,
were.
they
They
weren't
were.
great.
Yeah.
They weren't great. I think I mean, he's finished as a Super Bowl champion as well, which is definitely going to help his case. He's had an all pro finish in the season as well. A couple of second team all pros. I think he would be very hard done by not to finish being in the Hall of Fame. I think he's an excellent player and good on him, whatever he chooses to do next.
I think he's the perfect kind of borderline case, right? You listed off some of those career highlights. First team All Pro in 2013, second team All Pro a couple of times, including that 2020 COVID hit Super Bowl season. Only the one Pro Bowl, which I don't think Pro Bowl should be really counted towards at any point now, but there will always be comparisons to the other linebackers that played at the same time as you. I saw a Bucks beat writer put out a thing about Luke Kuechly's career statistics versus Levante David's. Levante David, longevity helps him hugely when it comes to the kind of counting stats, right? And I think longevity is something to be massively respected. A guy like Frank Gore, who gets in off the basis of that longevity, I think that Levante David will likely get there. But when you want to talk about at his very best during the time of his career, he is not an off-ball guy who ranks in the same breath as Luke Kuechly, Patrick Willis. I'm going to name two 49ers, say Fred Warner as well, because it was in the same time as his career. Like Roquan Smith, like the guys who have been at the very, very top of the league during that same stretch of time. And I always kind of have that wobble with guys. Like, think about the Eli Manning case. Like, Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls with 2 great postseason runs. Yeah, absolutely. But was he ever a top 5 quarterback in the NFL? Like 1 year during his entire career? So I think Levante David's right on that very good Hall of Fame cusp. I think he'll get in, but if it took him a few years, I wouldn't be surprised. It's also one of those positions which is a bit devalued. Like, I think it's harder to get in as an off-ball linebacker or as a safety or as a running back than it is if you're a number 1 receiver, a quarterback, a pass rusher, etc.
Luke Kuechly was NFL Defensive Player of the Year in 2013, Defensive Rookie of the Year 2012, 5-time first team All Pro. Levante David, I think, was once All Pro.
Yeah, and look, like Patrick Willis, who I mentioned, is an interesting case because he didn't have anywhere near the longevity, retiring with the turf toe, like much younger than you would have hoped a player of that nature would. But in just 8 years, he was voted All Pro or second team All Pro in 6 of those. 1 season, he missed almost the entire thing through injury, and 1 year was that horrible 4-12 season. So it's just. The accolades aren't quite there, but I think eventually he gets in on counting stats and longevity. He's so important to the Bucks as well. Like, they did their top 50 players of all time last year in the offseason. And in the top 7, 5 guys were in the Hall of Fame, and all the guys you'd expect, Warren Sapp and Derek Horn, guys like that. And the other 2 were Mike Evans and Levante David. Mike Evans is going to the Hall of Fame, and Levante David probably is going.
Yeah, and you wouldn't begrudge. I don't think you'd begrudge either, and you wouldn't begrudge Levante David because of the longevity and the rise. The Atlanta Falcons have added to their running back room. Brian Robinson has gone there, the former Washington Commander. He was with the San Francisco 49ers.
I caught a bus with him in Philadelphia. He was a lovely chap.
He caught a bus with Will Gavin in Philadelphia. Lovely chap. Where does that leave? We'll get Sam Harris's thoughts on him joining the Falcons in a moment, but where, Will Gavin, does that leave your San Francisco 49ers running back room?
They're really high on Jordan James, who they signed last season. Isaac Guerrero, great change of pace guy if he can stay healthy. I think, quite. I think we have to almost stop saying it at this point. I think there is a point where we have to say all off-season takes are based on assumed health. Because otherwise, every time we mention the NFC West, I'm going to have to keep churning it every single bloody time. Yeah. I wasn't being salty. It's just ridiculous at this point.
Feels like you're being salty. So salty.
I have concerns with the fact that Christian McCaffrey touched the ball over 400 times last season. And I think
what happened to Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, he's not going to be needed as much in the passing game at all. His body is in actually excellent condition postseason. the least he's been injured going into an off-season in a very long time, but that wear and tear does matter. So I would like to see them try and bring in maybe a vet to sit behind him, or I would say draft someone in the late rounds, but they haven't got a lot of late round picks. They've got 3 in the 4th and then nothing after that. It's Kyle Shanahan. He'll spend one of those on a running back, I'm sure.
And Sam, Bijan is joined by Brian. You've got Kyle Pitts, who's back for another year. Drake London, who made my tier 3.
And mine.
And Will Gavins wasn't registered by you, sadly. So if
Outside looking in.
if they can get some quarterback play out of their 2 lefties, love a lefty.
Well, that's what I was about to say. It feels like Ian Cunningham is kind of building his own Noah's Ark and just getting 2 of everything. He's got 2 left-handed quarterbacks. He's got 2 running backs with the surname Robinson. Follow the pattern here. He might be doing some other stuff. Just see what players are going to go out.
That really got me.
That's excellent work.
They are an incredibly top-heavy offense. It's like they have splashy players at several positions: Chris Lindstrom, Jake Matthews, Drake London, etc. But like, is Jahan Dotson a wide receiver 2? Is Zacchaeus a wide receiver 3? Like, are they feel very top-heavy and lack depth, and Brian Robinson can at least give them some useful snaps as a guy who's not one of the top 3 or 4 on the offense.
He's your 3rd down guy, like he was for you. I expect him to see exactly the same amount of time on the field if Bijan stays healthy, and it gets basically to give Bijan Robinson a rest, quite frankly.
Yeah, I think he's a good fill-in for Algier Gavin. I think he'll slot in fairly well there. I think his style of play will probably match Bijan's. I think, if I'm a Falcons fan, I'm fairly happy with that.
The Trent Williams still no contract resolution saga is rumbling on, Will, and I know that you have a particular point of view on this for a future Hall of Fame lineman that plays for the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, look, I don't think there's any chance Trent Williams plays under the contract as it currently stands. He's got $33 million in cash after this $10 million bonus wasn't signed, which turns it into a signing bonus. It means his cap hit is now $46 million for this year. I don't think there's much chance he plays at that number. Look, he has a great history with the Shanahan family, who was drafted by Mike. He was traded for by Kyle. He has a relationship with John Lynch and with Kyle Shanahan, and we've had this in 3 of the last 5 off seasons now with Trent Williams, where he's been pushing for a deal and it's happened late and he still played at a very high level. I think what's more likely than anything is that the 49ers will hold out these conversations because he can't go anywhere. They can afford the cap right now. They'll let the rest of the free agency and the draft market play out. Trent Williams will, everyone will spend their money. They will come to some kind of agreement, which will bring his cap hit back down into the 20s but give him more guaranteed money. And I think everyone walks away happy. It hurts them in the future because it'll be more voyages and more dead money and more. But with the way the cap's going up, I'm sure this is a team who really are pushing for a Super Bowl this year. And then after this year, they're going to have to sit and assess and look at all these 1-year contracts and go, maybe it's our time to take a few punches, roll with it, and try and rebuild for the next iteration. But with the way they're pushing for it this year, I don't see a world where he doesn't play for them, but I also don't see a world where he plays under the contract as is right now.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like I've been very serious today. I don't feel like I've been very fun.
Kyle Shanahan's pretty much come out and said that he expects it to get done, which leads me to believe that it will get done.
They love him. He loves them. He enjoys playing there. He gets he's got very strong relationships on the team. I feels like it's blown up because of who it is and because it's the same thing over again. But I really think it's a bit of a mountain out of a molehill that will get figured out.
Pick up here. Right, guys, it's come to that point in the show where we've got to talk about it, and I don't want to. So one of you, maybe Sam Harris, maybe Will Gavin.
Is it the flag football or is it the Browns trade proposal?
It's the Browns trade proposal. The Browns are proposing a rule change that will allow NFL teams to trade draft picks 5 years into the future instead of 3. Tell me why I should give a monkeys about this.
Because trades are fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Trades are the best.
Yeah,
Trades it.
work with what you got. Don't worry about it.
It doesn't even need that much explanation. Like the fact that you can push it out, and also it gives the Browns even more chance to ruin their franchise for even longer. Who doesn't want to see that?
I think that is the genuine, to be the boring guy again, concern that as much as I think this does help us see more movement on draft day, it's going to help us see more trades. It's going to help, it's going to get NBA silly potentially. I'm all for that. I want guys to move around the league. I want teams to get splashy. The only teams we're probably seeing who aren't doing that anymore are like the Chargers, and like it's very, very now the Ravens, because the Max Crosby thing didn't come off, but like very few teams aren't going out and making splashes and trading first round picks and everything. My concern is that it's a license for bad teams to stay bad. Like, to come back to the Jets conversation of not targeting the Jets when I say this, but when you have a GM who is fighting for their life and scrapping for their job and like is on a different timeline to other people and knows they need to have a good outcome that season and win 3 more games in order for him to keep his job, then suddenly they're going, well, yeah, I'll give you my 2029 first rounder for that guy, because that's probably not going to be me making that pick anyway. So let's keep my job another year and try and make this work. That's my concern, is it will allow bad teams to stay bad. But I also think it's going to make the league more fun.
I agree completely.
All right, you've sold me. I love it.
Tell your face.
Yeah, I love it. Malik Neighbours. What? The Fanatics Flag Football nonsense. Phoebe Schechter, who we love, was like the analyst and the expert for flag football alongside Greg Olsen, et al., Kevin Burkhardt, all of those guys. So that's really cool for her. Other than that being cool for her, and we saw some fun stuff, and we saw the USA national flag team whoop the NFL-ish team, various NFL teams-ish teams. Jake Paul was on one of them, some other influencers as well. Did we learn anything about this? Is it a good thing ahead of the Olympics in 2028?
That was why I was so interested in it initially, because it's going to be part of the Olympics. And when you get anything NFL related tucked into that, then show me what you've got. And I think in terms of the talent they had there, the names, it was stacked. I think what ruined it for me is that it just suddenly the entire thing became the Logan Paul show. And if he's going to beat up one of the players, and if some of the ex-players are going to beat him up, and it just all got very WWE, and none of it felt genuine. Obviously, none of that to sell the event, but I kind of lost interest before it even started, just purely based on that. But yeah, it was. Look, I don't expect it to be anything like that in the Olympics. I'd quite like it to be like that in the Olympics if they all started branding each other. But it just felt so disingenuous and just fake.
Allow me to give you my hot wrestling Olympics take.
Oh, here we go.
I think professional wrestling should be an Olympic sport. I think that it should be judged like dancing is judged, where it is given artistic scores out of 6, and matches can only last 15 minutes. And it's about your storytelling, and it's about the art, and it's about the partnership between the two people in the ring. I think it would. This is a Chris Jericho argument, but I think it would work as an Olympics.
Listen,
so do you mean the nation? You as a nation, you are sending out 2 people that will wrestle each other, and that's the entire thing. So
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. You couldn't be fighting.
So Japan would be amazing. America would be amazing. The UK would be amazing. Mexico. How did I forget the luchadors? They would probably win everything. But on the flag football point,
I imagine all of those Pacific islands that would then get teams like the Samoans
and the Tongans. Oh yeah, absolutely. Wow.
Yeah, okay, I'm all for that. Yeah.
Look, you've got the Mysterios against the Rock and Tomatoa or something like in the final. Like
imagine the Rock in the Olympics would be really funny. Look, if they've got horse
no way
dancing,
making the final, by the way, not in 2028.
Yeah. Look, if they've got horse dancing in the Olympics, why can't they have
exactly
big men in leotards? Why not?
I think the only
they've got that already. Powerlifting.
I think the only real takeaway from the flag football event is that if there is going to be any NFL players take part in the Olympics, and I know Joe Burrow talks about wanting to take part in the Olympics, and I know that Justin Jefferson has talked about it, Jamar Chase has talked about it, is that it's very clear how much of a different sport it is. It's clear from just how good Team USA were and how unseriously everyone else had taken it. And it was very, obvious. And I wasn't having any hot takes. I think social media got a bit on blast about it. But if you are going to let any of those guys take part, they need to be spending 6 months training flag football.
Absolutely.
And actually, I think if we want to keep doing these events, let's stick to celebrities and flag football players and not have NFL players. Have them there, have them endorsing it, have them doing sideline interviews, have them doing press stuff, have them doing all of that. But, if one of my players or someone had got injured, being involved in a game in something like that, it just would be beyond thinking about. So
they had Jaden Daniels at wide receiver, which is like
how did the Commanders sign off on that?
I mean,
I don't think they did. I don't think they were allowed to or not. I think so much money was involved, wasn't it? Because it was originally going to be in the Middle East. Anyway.
Look, Antoine Dupont took time out from the French national team. He took off for Six Nations to prepare to play sevens in the Paris Olympics. That happened. They won. He was incredible in it. And he wasn't the best player in it because sevens rugby is so different to 15s rugby. And that's how it would work. You need to take time off. And you're right, Will. It would have to have been. It will have to be a considered amount of time.
I was in the car earlier and I was thinking about the show, and I was thinking you were talking about the flag football point on our WhatsApp group, and actually rugby sevens was exactly what came to mind for me. That if you took, I was going to say from the England team, but let's not do that. If you took the fittest 7 players from the Irish team, let's say you took the back 7 from the Irish team and you pitted them against the Republic of Ireland rugby sevens team without any prior warning or training, I still think they lose because it's just so much a different sport. I think if they were given 6 months to train and they are your fullbacks, your wingers, your outside flankers, all those kind of guys who in theory could build their stamina to the point where they could play sevens, then they've got an opportunity. And I think it's the same with flag. Those guys have to take flag seriously if they want to be involved in the Olympics. And what is probably the better option is to allow amateur athletes to take part just like the Olympics is intended.
And that's why you didn't get players like Roger Federer winning doubles titles, because it's just a different game. We're all singing from the same hymn sheet. I love it. Any other business, gents, before we get out of Dodge? Sorry, I said that.
No, do you know what? I was going to read out Darren's email. Sorry, Darren. We'll save it to next week because I reckon we're going to get a couple more. We'll do a mailbag next week. But he has put something forward, which I think if we had implied it this week, it would have worked quite well. So I'm going to leave that as a bit of a cliffhanger for next week.
And we'll do the Jets Miami thing as well, because that was the other mailbag thing that I said we would get to, and we just haven't had time to. But
so Jets.
Other than that, I'll let you. It's time, guys. It's time. He's about to do it.
Basically, a Jets fan got annoyed by our takes, Ollie. So I promised them that I would address it because they had some valid points. They had some valid points, but I also think that they're wrong. So we'll get into it.
So
take us out.
Next week we've got Jets Miami. I've got a dog barking away. Next week we've got Jets Miami. We've got Sam finally watching draft day. We're going to pick our 3 players to watch in the NFL draft and where they might land. But that's all we have time for this week. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you next week.
We've got a dog.